I'm coming back from this whole situation of my family's tragedy and a legal defense, and I'm trying to look at light on the at the end of the tunnel by going back into, my production situation, which was going to be a healing experience for me. You know what I mean? And then that was a blackout.
Yep. Curtain drop.
Right? So I told you, it was so traumatic that it kind of like pushed me to the edge of like a suicidal ideation, and I basically had given some serious thought to how I was going to do it, or, this, that, and the other thing, like I was starting to make a plan, and in a conversation I had with my sister, I inadvertently like let that slip. And she was the one that said, essentially, are you nuts? You need to come out here and just calm down. It was basically the way it was.
You gotta love the real tough family love, man.
Yeah, you just need to come out here and just kind of be with me and just calm down.
Yeah.
And she wasn't saying it in any sort of condescending way.
No,
right?
but
I don't think she really grasped I don't think she had comprehension of the gravity of it. She just knew that she had never heard me talk like that.
Right. She heard something different, so she was reacting to that.
Yeah. So I get to LA, and as I said, I was there for several months. I had a few friends there. I spent some time with Kim Dallesandro, Joe Dallesandro. Joe Dallesandro, we talked about, former, darling of the Andy Warhol factory scene. And it was Joe at the time that was really advocating sobriety, right? Because he had gone clean and started working as a counselor, for various support groups in the Hollywood area. And I was just kind of on his coattails for a while, going to these different meetings. But I'm actually engaging with a lot of well-known celebrity figures that are going through some type of existential crisis.
Yeah. Okay.
And having an observation of that.
Yeah.
Was kind of enlightening to me, because now I found a level playing field.
I see.
You know what I mean? Now, the fact of the matter was, at that point in time, drugs and alcohol were not problematic to me. Although I was a regular participant or a practitioner, to me, it was just, social activity. It wasn't until I got back to Texas, after I'd gotten the release from the contract that I had with Shake the Earth, because it was Whoopi Goldberg that actually turned me on to an attorney that took that case pro bono to go back, and disentangle me from the obligations of that contract.
That's an interesting connection.
God sees everything, bro.
Wow. Wow.
Whoopi was a friend of Joe's. She was doing a performance at the Universal Amphitheater, invited Joe to go. Joe didn't want to go because Joe's a little agoraphobic. He's not big on crowds, and he's had enough of the whole, fishbowl spotlight thing, and his temperament is just not wired that way. He's not like a social butterfly like that.
Yeah.
What happened was his son was visiting him, and his son closely resembles him, and his son wanted to break into modeling. So Joe started inviting me to take his son out to social events that he was invited to.
I see. Okay.
To see if I could help make connections for his son.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was happy to do that because I am a social butterfly.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of being in Hollywood, going to cool places to meet cool people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right down your alley.
Because I didn't have anything better to do at that point in time. And what I didn't want to do was hang out with musicians, because for me, there was a sore spot still there, as I told you before.
A little tenderness around being around that.
I passed on an opportunity to see my friends Living Color play at the Roxy when they were there, because they were on this upward trajectory. I just couldn't do it. It was just, for me, I was just too raw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
because it was easily could have been you, should have been you, not
Well,
could have.
I mean, that's abstract thinking. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
That's literally like my ego
Sure,
playing with me. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I mean, there's no credence to any of that.
Yeah.
They would have been happy to have me. I could have easily been there, and it would not have been a thing. As a matter of fact, if I really do want to fast forward, they were the ones that actually tried to pull me up first.
Hmm.
But we'll get to that.
Okay.
All I'm just saying was that there was a sensitivity of displacement for me that was just completely abstract.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I spent the lion's share of my social time around actors while I was in Los Angeles, not musicians.
Hmm.
You know?
What was the biggest thing you saw as a difference between actors and musicians?
Well, first of all, I can't really draw a correlation like that because it's all art.
Hmm.
You know, what I can tell you though was because I didn't have any sort of competitive concern for it.
I see. Yeah.
What you have to think about is this, right? Like, I had gotten into a mentality to where I was always kind of on the edge of trying to figure out how to keep an edge. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like for me, it was always a strategic thing.
I see.
Like I'm literally, I don't want to say that I'm fixated on. I'm not fixated on necessarily the activities of other people, but what I am most conscientious about is how to maintain some degree of autonomy and some degree of individuality, right? What's going to keep me separate,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
from this one, that one, or the other one. You know what I mean? Like, how do I not, if you don't have that, what I call that stamp of originality that really like, you know, puts you in a lane of your own, you're just chasing somebody else's. You'd also have to bear in mind, apart from Prince, there was an artist that was really incredibly popular at that time named Terrence Trent D'Arby. Does that name ring a bell for you?
It does.
Yeah, he was heavy when he came out, right?
Yeah.
He was signed to CBS, $1 million deal. He looked great. He had great stage presence. He was a great, great singer, right? And he actually suffered from the so-called sophomore slump. His debut album was multi-platinum.
Yeah.
He took about 18 months before he came back with the second album, but the second album became like so, quote unquote, disorganized, or let's say it wasn't like the high tight thing that put him on the map. He went into this sort of quasi experimental mode. You know what I'm saying? Because now he had the cachet and the wherewithal,
and the freedom,
and he wanted to do it his way. And what he brought back, the critics couldn't understand it, and the public couldn't understand it, and there wasn't like a dynamic hit single. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's a 1-2 punch. That's why they call it the sophomore slump. You know, you make that breakthrough, and some people wait too long to come back in with the follow-up, you know? And yet they got to remember, man, it was literally just a little less than a year between, like, you know, I'll put it this way, Jimi Hendrix's debut album and his second album came out in the same year.
But you got to keep the momentum rolling.
Well, in those days, but the short story being is that, you know, what you're trying to do is establish an oral brand. I guess it's really important for me to kind of get the white elephant in the room on the table, right? It's like the racial element for me was not a prodigious concern. I really didn't feel like the anxiety about being accepted as a quote unquote Black artist. I didn't even, apart from my engagement with the Black Rock Coalition, I never even made references to my, you know, cultural status with regard to the music because I identified as a rock and roller, bro. This is where I don't want you to get it twisted. I may have told you this early on in our conversation. To me, to kind of cultivate a personality or a persona that's universally recognized as a rock and roll image, right, is an art form in itself, right? It's like once upon a time, before everybody and his mama got tattoos, you wouldn't see people with like just tattoos like that. You know what I mean? If you saw somebody with a sleeve of tattoos, if they weren't in the Yakuza, you know what I mean?
Right.
It was a whole nother thing, right? That tattoo thing didn't really kick into high gear until the 80s, if you feel me.
I got you.
And it was like bands like Motley Crue that kind of like got that shit kickstarted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I got you.
But before that, it really wasn't considered, you know, it really wasn't even considered a prerequisite or some sort of, you know,
standard.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, some people had tattoos, but they were normally just kind of primitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got you.
Because think about it, right? It's like, I mean, if I'm putting things in context, right? It's like the most glamorous bands, let's say going all the way back to like the Beatles and the Stones, they didn't have tattoos.
No. Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix didn't have any tattoos.
Yeah. Well, they were wearing suits on stage too. I mean, that was just the culture.
Well, my
right?
point, no, I'm just saying, even as the Stones were the first ones that actually went glam before anybody started talking about glam rock. Before the New York Dolls, the Stones were the first ones to go like androgynous, start to wear like eyeliner.
Yeah.
Keith Richards doing that, Brian Jones doing that. I saw Brian Jones with one painted nail. And so I painted my nail because I saw it on the back of a album cover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Exotic little things, right? As I told you, you had to study all of the illustrations and all of the graphic elements. You had to just study this stuff as if you were trying to get a A. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Otherwise, you weren't going to get any information.
I got you.
Nobody's walking around the street bumping into record producers in Austin, Texas. That's just not a thing.
Yeah.
There weren't any. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you had to pick it
Austin, Texas in the 70s did not really have a legitimate like recording scene to speak of.
Right.
You know what I mean? So to kind of fast forward, what I'm trying to tell you is I had spent the first, let's say from the age of 17, 18 in 1972, by the time 1982 rolls around, before I moved to New York, it's 10 years. I'm 28, and that's late not to be signed. The average artist is signed sometime somewhere in the range between 20 and 23 or 24 years old. Because it's very much, you know, a youth thing. Yeah. You'd be amazed if you just go back and look at the history of the so-called classic bands. Like when Led Zeppelin, you know, did Led Zeppelin 1, they were still in their early 20s.
Yeah. It's crazy to me to think about it that way.
Yeah. I'm saying all that to say, right? In 10 years, I had to do everything that I had to do to become credible as a quote unquote professional rock and roll musician. Like there wasn't any ambiguity about it, right? Because I looked this way like all the time.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a Clark Kent, Superman dual identity.
It was your full personality, identity, everything.
24/7, 365.
Yeah.
You dig what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
As a black man in Texas with that identity.
Yeah.
So by the time I got to New York, I was like a full-blown thing, right? Like those people knew that I was legit, although they didn't know who I was or where I was from.
Didn't matter.
If I walked into the Cat Club in Manhattan, you know, all the cats with the tight pants and the leather jackets and all that stuff were being like, bro.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
I see you.
They weren't looking at me like a hick.
Yeah, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? They weren't looking at me like I'm from the Midwest or some shit, right? I'm one of them. right? So if I roll up in the CBGB, it's like, all right,
Welcome home.
that sort of thing, right? Every waking day and every waking hour of every waking day, I'm thinking about how to keep an edge on me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you only get that one, that you only use that, you got one time to make a first impression.
Very true.
Right?
Yeah.
And everybody says that when we were talking about the sophomore slump, it's like you got your whole life to make that debut album, but you only got like 8 to 18 months to make that follow-up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? So that was the thing. What really had me the most upset was not just the disruption of me not being able to complete the album, but the disappointment that I felt accountability for with letting everybody in my band down, as if I had something to do with it, right? Now, I'll say it this way. I could have reconciled the whole dissipation if I had come into the studio drunk and got into some big inappropriate argument with Jack Douglas because I'm on a high horse. I've got some kind of big ego trip, and now I'm just upsetting the apple cart and biting the hand that's trying to feed me. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then he decides to walk away because I'm just a dick.
Yeah.
Which has happened to other people.
Oh, yeah.
I know about it because I've seen it happen. But that was not the case at all. We had a lovely creative relationship and a very respectful relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, Jack speaking to other people in my presence, about what we're doing with a great sense of pride and confidence. Like, just wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when it didn't happen, it's literally like I can only imagine how somebody would feel being left at the altar. Or the only analogy that I could use is the way that a talented athlete would feel in a scrimmage, tearing an ACL.
Yeah. And not being able to go out and play again.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know what I'm saying? Like some career-ending industry. Yeah. And I didn't even consider that like a career-ending thing.
Yeah.
It was just missing that magical connection with Jack Douglas was like, to me, standing a coin on its edge.
It was a cliff drop.
Yeah, that was like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity is what I'm going to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, had I done that, then I had a whole list of individuals that I would have aspired to maybe encounter and work with at some point in time.
Sure.
Just for the sheer enjoyment
just
of the collaboration of different
being part of it.
A-list echelon individuals, right?
Yeah.
But I know for a fact I would have made 2 records with Jack before I gone off on any sort of tangent, right?
I see.
Because here's the other thing, Stephen, you also got to remember, this was actually kind of a golden era of hard rock music, right? Like Van Halen was massively big at that time. This is still Van Halen as one of the biggest draws in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Motley Crue was on the heels of that, like, coming up, right? And this was before the whole, well, actually, this was right during the whole feast of that West Coast glam rock thing, to where you had, Poison and Rat, and you had, Wasp and whatever. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole slew of these bands.
West Coast,
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they were all doing that. This thing that I was doing with Chris Bailey was so much more intellectual, so much more closer to like what The Who or U2. We were like a thinking man's hard rock band, kind of like Rush without the mysticism.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We were self-aware, right? So it's like our debut, I don't know, it would have been our debut single, but one of our big singles would have been the song called Noisy Music, right? To where we're literally sitting there articulating like, what is rock and roll? That one sounds like a metal scream car crash with a chromium sheen. And it would have been an anthem, bro, the way that it was constructed. But I'm just saying, I mean, that's what I mean when I say we were self-aware.
Right.
Like we knew how it was going to project into the zeitgeist. You know what I mean? And we had all of these things kind of like worked out. When you hear what I call really strong debut albums, they're completely intentional, not accidental.
Yeah.
As I said before, you got your whole life to make a debut album.
Yeah, you're working up to the big break.
You got your whole life to develop the concept of a debut album, right?
Right.
You might come into the studio with 75 songs, and you got to boil that down to 10.
Yeah. I had a local band on last weekend, and we were talking about how many songs that they have and just the process of that. And I would imagine that's a good problem to have if you're a musician, when you have so many great songs that you love so much. But man, that must be stressful.
Well, it's definitely an exercise.
Yeah. To put it one way.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But see, you actually get acclimated to that performing live because you're putting together set lists.
Seeing what sticks, what hits.
So so you start thinking about those type of things in a very similar context.
Yeah, I see.
Like sequencing songs, what to open with, what to follow the opening song with.
And you're seeing people's reactions.
And because the idea is you're trying to build momentum. The concept is always that you want to try to create 2 crescendos. You got to come out like smoking with something, right? Something that makes everybody stop.
Yeah. Hit you in the face real quick, get your attention.
And then theoretically, you don't want to take a break between the first and second song. You want to segue straight into the second song, right? Because you want to ride that momentum to where you essentially commanded attention.
Okay.
Right? And then if all is going well, you'll even take that to the third song without a break. Like you'll segue twice. Right? That's the way that we used to try to develop sets, right?
All right. So you'd have 3 nonstop.
Yeah, and 3 nonstop, and then say, "How you doing?"
Yeah, yeah. Hello, everybody.
Sort of thing. You know what I mean? For all intents and purposes. And then maybe you'll kind of change the direction and the energy, just depending on what you've got in your tank.
Now, is that changing based off the venue too? Like if you're playing a CBGB, are you going 3 heavy? And then kind of going into something maybe more experimental?
No, you don't really think about the venue.
Okay.
See, because the fact is, what we cultivated over time, when you start looking at a set list, it's more concerned with how much time do you have to perform. Like, what is your window?
Yeah.
What is your opportunity?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Well, yeah.
We've done a variety of things. Like, and so in the event to where if we're the headline act, so-called. We're the closing act.
Right.
We've got more time. And so we can play a longer set if we choose. But I was always adamant about, first of all, capping our shows at like 45 minutes. Right? Like I wanted everything that was going to happen inside of 45 minutes. And if we did that well, then we would have an opportunity to come back and encore 2, maybe 3 more songs without running out of time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If for whatever reason we weren't getting the full engagement, well, then we just played 45 minutes and we just did our thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right.
But if we did 45 minutes and killed, right? Then it was like the enjoyment of stepping off, people asking you back. Then you still have time to come back and do 2 more songs. You know what I'm saying? Like that sort of thing.
The thought of an encore, I don't know if I've ever been to a show in my entire life where I've witnessed an honest encore.
Boy, I have.
And it kind of, not frustrates me. That's not the right word, but there's an inauthentic piece of what encores are about now. I mean, you see it on set lists, right? Like it's a planned thing. They write that into the show plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to experience an encore one day, as a member of the audience, of like a true, this band is supposed to be gone, but they're coming back for a couple more, God, side note, but I just don't know if those exist anymore. Maybe, I'm sure they do. I just haven't experienced it.
Well, in clubs, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's always possibility. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, theoretically, it's intentional.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean?
And I don't want to make, I'm not making it, it's not a bad thing. I just.
No. But my point being is that when you're talking about the debut album, right?
Yeah.
You literally have been dreaming about this for years.
Yeah.
And the closer it gets to being reality, the more crucial and the more critical it gets. So you can literally overthink that shit. You can really like turn it over. You can overcook it. But my point is, what's really important to me as a record buyer is the second and third song. The debut song is great, but it usually is great.
Yeah.
But how's the second and third song? And then oftentimes it gets better on the B side.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for the B side to be the strongest of the two sides.
Yeah. I've listened to plenty of albums where you flip it, that first song on the B side, I feel like could have been the first song on the A side,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the artist was probably thinking the same damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at some point, that those sort of decisions kind of go to committee when people really start talking about marketing. And,
yeah. Yeah.
And so they have like focus groups and things like that at the labels. You know what I mean? And they get into the whole thing. The A&R department, that's literally what they do.
I see.
They'll sit around a table,
order your songs
vote,
for you.
But that's my point. Certain artists, if you come in with the right, what I call the right cachet, like that's what was so brilliant about Led Zeppelin. Because Jimmy Page had all that experience as a studio musician, he knew that a lot of the bands that were getting deals were going to suffer because they were going to be held to expectation about having hit singles. And he wanted to avoid all of that with Led Zeppelin. So in doing so, by going in and recording the full album out of pocket, they took those master tapes to Atlantic Records for the deal with the understanding that there's no manipulation of the sequence of these songs. You're going to have it this way or you're not going to have it at all. And we're not, quote unquote, releasing any singles. We're not going to be obligated to releasing any singles. You're paying for these fully developed, fully well-produced masterpieces.
Genius.
Yeah.
Is that the first time anybody had done anything like that?
I don't know that it's the first time, but I know that he did it that way, intentionally. You know what I'm saying? And that was really fundamental to Led Zeppelin's, core values, Of course, the label started releasing singles intermittently, after they caught fire.
Yeah.
Right? But Led Zeppelin, did you see that documentary, the Becoming Led Zeppelin?
On Netflix?
They had to go out on tour and work for it.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't just a silver platter, you guys are it.
Yeah.
They had to go out there and prove it. You know what I'm saying? And they worked their asses off.
No doubt.
I think they did like 3 tours in the first year.
Man,
you know what I mean? But they were only 22, 23, 24 years old.
Yeah. Well,
they weren't geezers by any stretch of the imagination, right?
Yeah, no, you're right.
They just came in with their shit together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had the big letdown. I went to LA to kind of catch a second wind. And then the question becomes, what do you want to do next? Well, my so-called golden opportunity was just up in smoke.
Yeah.
So I can't undo that.
Yeah.
And I did still have a positive rapport with my guitar player, Chris Bailey, right? But I just wasn't psychologically in a place to where I wanted to just run right back to Chris and try to go back through the detritus of what had happened. Because I'm going to tell you something, and this may sound kind of bizarre in context, but I really did feel isolated, like from my band and all the people that were so close-knit and with me in unison up to the point to where it stopped. When it stopped, I never felt that people came back to circle the wagons and asked me, how am I doing? I got crickets. And part of the difficulty, not to make them just sound cruel, I'm not trying to besmirch anybody, right? But what I'm trying to say was everybody had their eye on the so-called prize of the deal. And when the deal dissipated, it's like the central focus was not me.
Right. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it took me months to where I could kind of like get back and huddle with individuals that were previously involved. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, and these people you were dealing with hours of the day.
Oh my God.
24/7, 365.
You saw pictures.
Yeah.
It was a unit. It was tight-knit unit. You dig what I mean? But I'm telling you, when the whole thing went incommunicado with Jack, it's like everybody just scattered.
Yeah. Do you think
and there was a part of that really kind of pissed me off?
Of course.
If I want to be honest about it. You know what I'm saying?
It's a natural human reaction to a situation like that.
Yeah, But the other side of the coin, what was really the biggest irritant was that I was not getting straight answers to the cause.
Right.
I may or may not have mentioned it to you, but I literally did not have a conversation with my publicist, Lynn Robinson, until like 2009.
Yeah, you told me that last time. That is
after
wild.
Reconnecting with her on Facebook. And by then there was so much water under the bridge. She felt more comfortable being forthcoming about what she knew from her perspective of it. Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that the whole thing stemmed from one of the individuals having an inappropriate relationship with one of my backing vocalists, and then one of the what I call the private backers got wind of it because they were having like a backdoor relationship unbeknownst to anybody, right? And this individual got jealous that was writing the checks and started canceling the payment on these checks to spite this other individual at my detriment.
Lives ruined. No, I shouldn't say ruined, but careers
impacted.
Impacted, yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Stephen, that even made me more depressed.
Yeah.
In 2009.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Finding out that
after all that water under the bridge, that it was something so what I call boneheaded.
Yeah. That had absolutely nothing to do with you
music.
And your music and your art or your band or your personality or your business sense or goodness.
It'd be like a janitor upending the Oppenheimer project.
And so,
so that's all I can say about that. You know what I mean? It's like that's all I can say about that.
And I'm curious if the band's reaction was because of how much they had relying on it. I mean, it was their livelihood as well.
Of course.
Right. And I'm curious if from a relationship standpoint, if they were riding with you, so to speak, because of the golden goose.
I don't want to paint that stroke because here's the point. We all go in with an anticipation of expectation.
Yeah. I mean,
under any scenario.
Absolutely.
I don't care what kind of work you do. It's like, okay, what's the premise? We're going to make tacos. Okay. Who's got the shells? Who's got the lettuce? Who's got the tomatoes?
And what's the goal?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everybody was bringing what they had to the table.
Yeah.
There's no way that I'm going to besmirch any of the people for feeling any sort of way that they felt.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is there was a vacuum of time where nobody was reaching out to me in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
Right? Until I got disentangled from this business and came back to Austin, then things started to warm up gradually. You know what I'm saying? But what I did was when I came back to Austin, I didn't come back deliberately to reunite with Chris Bailey and start Bonsai Kick all over again.
Start doing it all.
No, I took a complete deviation and I just wanted to get my feet wet, feeling creative again in what I call just an organic setting. And I was so fortunate because the person that I called that gave me the overture to come back was Denny Freeman.
Really?
Yes. See, the way I was thinking about it, I'm a naturally strategic thinker. And what I mean by that is I hypothesize concepts, right? So in my head, I'm thinking like this. I was in LA in the middle of the glam metal explosion, avoiding all of that shit like the plague, right? I mean, I was literally at the premiere of this film called The Decline of Western Civilization Part 2. Penelope Spheris did this pretty amazing documentary about LA heavy metal. But she literally made a documentary about the scene, you know, the Hollywood metal scene. And I had a friend named Anthony Recasino. I used to call him T. And I knew him from back earlier in New York around 85, 86 was when I met him. Because he used to work with this manager named Stephen Machat, who was managing the artist John Waite that I was telling you about when I met Judith Glover, right? So he was working with John Waite and Judith Glover. And long story short, T was kind of like a liaison, a management liaison, right? Kind of like when you hear people talk about their handlers, you could use the expression gophers.
Yeah, I got you.
And if the star needs X, Y, and Z, then
T's getting it.
This guy is going to go get it.
Yeah, no matter what it is.
No matter what it is. Nod, wink, wink. Okay?
Yeah, oh yeah.
But he's that guy.
Yeah.
He's a can-do kind of guy. Okay. So I ran into somehow I wound up running into him in LA, right?
Was he running an errand for you?
Well, he wasn't running an errand for me, but he
kidding.
was. What was the situation? I didn't forget how we reunited. It was so abstract, but what wound up happening was he was going basically meet me at the Rainbow Bar and Grill, like the famous Rainbow Bar and Grill on Sunset Boulevard, right down the street from the Roxy. The Roxy's a venue, like a venue.
Oh yeah.
All the hot acts play every week. The new It Thing is playing at the Roxy.
Yeah.
3 or 4 doors down the street is the Rainbow Bar and Grill. This is a place where Lemmy hangs out every day, playing slot machines or whatever. It's the place where the real rock stars, quote unquote, go to let their so-called hair down. You know what I mean?
What a wild place that must have been.
Yeah,
man.
it's legendary.
All right.
So it's so legendary. It's like a cliche.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah.
It's predicated on the Rainbow Bar and Grill.
I see.
And they franchised that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To where there's just memorabilia all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Everything is autographed by all of these rock and roll star people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like a tourist trap almost. Except tourists can't get in there.
Yeah.
You can't get in there unless you're really an industry person.
Yeah, I see.
It's because it's not big. It's small, like the Continental Club.
Okay.
Right? It's not a big space. But you get in there and you've read so much about it, and you've heard so much about it, you know, and it's like, oh, everybody from whatever, you name it, who's who, you know, everybody in their glory days have turned that place out. You know what I
To
mean?
be a fly on the wall, man.
Practically everybody that's ever had a record deal
Yeah.
has been to the Rainbow Bar and Grill, raising hell some kind of way, you know, from Alice Cooper to Black Sabbath to just going down the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got
It's
you.
that kind of place.
Yeah.
In New York, there's a place that I used to go called Sardi's.
Sardi's.
It's a restaurant.
Okay.
And I used to go to Sardi's. I used to love, when I was recording at the record plant, I used to go, it was around the corner from the record plant. If I'm not mistaken, it's like 46th off of Broadway. It's like in the theater district.
Gotcha.
And it's a place where all the famous Broadway people would come, hang out, socialize.
Everybody needs a watering hole.
The who's who.
Yeah.
Creme de la creme.
Yeah.
And everybody's got tables.
Yeah.
And just autographs on all sorts of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that sort of thing. And I used to like going there by myself to just kind of, okay, I'm going to do this shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just kind of feeling your way through it.
I used to do that. And I used to love to go to like the Russian Tea Room, which is another place right off of Park Avenue. I used to go to these places just trying to acclimate myself to being like in these settings by myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I didn't feel like I was going to be like out of my depth.
I mean, you were going through and getting reps of what it meant to be a full-blown rock and roll star. And that was extremely intense. Everything you were doing, you were very intentional about everything you did.
Yeah.
Down to the places you went to go hang out. It wasn't to go just hang out. It was to study. It was to figure out how you could assimilate in that environment.
Yeah. I used to go to Trader Vic's at the Plaza Hotel. Just by myself and just hang out and observe.
And just kick your feet and just watch. I mean, but that's a genius way of approaching life, man. I mean, you know, aside from the art of it all, forget about the music. It was you. I mean, you were.
Well, see, that's the other side of it, Stephen. I'm so glad that you even have that insight, because what I'm trying to say is, for the aspect of the disruption in my career arc, I still did all of this cool ass shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I did not have what I call the happy climax of the whole situation that I had necessarily envisioned, but the whole way there did not suck.
Right.
Is what I'm trying to what I'm trying to tell you. Because I literally got to remember, I left Austin being a big fish in the small pond.
Yes.
Going to New York, completely obscure. I only had one vestige, maybe two vestiges of hope, and that would have been Steven Van Zandt. And that got sidetracked by Born in the USA.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Small album.
My man, John Rollo, who had recorded with me in Uvalde, Texas, was there working with Steve Van Zandt. You know what I'm saying? But that dot did not connect the way that I had envisioned. But I just refused to come home empty-handed, you know? And so, as I said before, you know, I literally just kind of like, when you talk about bootstraps, and of course, like I said before, I'm not beating my chest from the vanity aspect, but what I'm trying to say is I put in the work. You saw how my body was. You saw, you know what I'm saying? No, my point was I was spending all this time in the gym and in the studio. It wasn't just a one facile thing.
No,
right?
and we just touched on the social aspect of it, and then your music aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, building this network.
You were well-rounded.
From the Black Rock Coalition to the whole 9 yards, you know what I'm saying? So it got to a point where I was literally comfortable in all these settings, right? So I could be at a place like the Lone Star Cafe, and I'm backstage talking to Jimmy Page, and then Stevie Winwood comes in. And I'm in the back of my mind going like, shit, that's Stevie Winwood.
Yeah.
But then again, I say, hey, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
Keeping it cool, man.
You know what
I mean, but you're sitting there talking to Jimmy Page. Like, what?
But that's cool. The reason I could do that was because I had also, let's say a couple of weeks or a few weeks earlier, I had a full hour and a half hanging out with Bo Diddley.
Oh, man.
He's playing at the Lone Star Cafe. I'm there at sound check. I just happened to be there. I can't remember why I was there, but he was there and he was going to play. I didn't know he was playing or whatever, but I was just fascinated because I was like, that's fucking Bo Diddley, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the godfathers.
But you kept it cool.
I kept it cool enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But my point was game recognized game is what I'm trying to say. You dig what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So he looked at me and knew I wasn't a square.
You
know?
I see.
And we started talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. He cracks open I love telling this story. He cracks open his guitar case. He goes, look at this thing I just got down in Little Rock, Arkansas. I was like, well, what the hell is that? He said, it's called an AccuJack. I said, well, what is that? He says, well, what they told me was, he goes, I haven't tried it out yet. But what they told me was, when you're driving, you can put this thing on your penis and you plug it into the cigarette lighter and it'll jack you off.
Oh, man. This is Bo Diddley just dropping this on you. Wow. What a story, man. What a story.
I got a million of them.
So
let's put it this way. When we pick back up,
yeah,
I will start in Austin
with
Denny Freeman and the Chill Factor.
Okay.
Because that's where I got back in the saddle. And we're talking 1988 going into 1989. And that was a very interesting year, for better and for worse, right? Because by then I was dealing with a lot of the trauma that I had experienced as a result of the disruption.
Yeah.
But because I had a new project with Denny Freeman in Austin, I was back on top in the small pond.
Yeah, back to being the big fish.
So that's where we'll flesh it all out.
All right.
You dig what I mean?
Yes, sir.
But I'm telling you, that's where the tale gets really interesting because I'm literally like walking wounded.
Thanks for listening. Know someone we should talk to? Give us a shout on Instagram at Austin Music People. Tell your friends, tell your family, and get out there and support Austin music.